Hello everybody, welcome back to another video of How to Drift in Japan series. And I am Sky Zhao. I'm going to explain a few new rules that happen in Ebisu and that you have to know before you actually go to there and drift. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit background in safety. And in general, I'm from New Zealand, and there's plenty of people coming from Australia, USA, all over Europe and Asia. I'm sure in the back home countries where you're from, for instance, in New Zealand. So safety usually is very, very enforced and very big thing in our world, in New Zealand, motorsport world. And it pretty much applies to everywhere in the world, I have to say. And in the past decades, the safety things have stepped up a lot. And just for instance, for us in New Zealand, if you want to do a drifting, you want to practice drifting, you want to sort of do the most basic thing you could with a car, and you have to involve, with the helmet, you have to all the safety, the marshals, and everything like that. However, like in Ebisu Circuit or in general in Japan, where people work differently on safety, safety is still a big key over there. However, they don't really enforce on that because they think that yourself can look after it. They might have a sign, for instance, at Ebisu Circuit, they have a sign on each track entrance and saying you need to have a helmet, you need to have a seatbelt. Like sometimes when you have a ski pan, where you can basically only do some donuts and really basic slow stuff, they literally just have a sign, just seatbelt, not even a helmet, I think. And in that case, you want to make sure that you definitely put your seatbelt on, but it's up to you if you want to wear a helmet or not. In other circuit that they have the sign of having a helmet and having a seatbelt together, but there's nobody over there to look at you and say, no, you need to put your helmet on, you need to strap your the helmet strap in tight. Where in New Zealand we check all of that, make sure your gears are 100% before you actually head out the track. So it's not like there's no safety rules in Japan, there is. However, they just want that each individuals to look after themselves, and they want to obey the law, the regulations yourself, so you will be safe. However, because there's so many foreigners like me and like everybody, we're going to Ebisu, we found there's no marshals, there's no everybody there that looking at you. It feels like there's so much freedom. However, because of that, it doesn't mean there's all this freedom. You are responsible for your own safety, of course, and you are in drifting. Any form of motorsport, it can be dangerous, for sure, and there's a lot of risk associated with it. And especially at the Ebisu, it's a multi-track and complex, and they have some, of course, from the easy ones like ski pan, but they go right up to the Minami jump track. It's going to the Toge course, which is super narrow. Even North course, feels like a really safe track, but you can still go out of the track if you are practicing, and that's quite a fast entry. You probably could do 120k. So over the many years, from the people drifting at the Ebisu, and it's sort of people have to follow their own way, and there are a lot of foreigners coming to Ebisu, and it's very, very hard to police. And so pretty much everybody just make sure they're safe on their own, and they go out and have their own car, have whatever the safety that car offers. And in most of the case, because these drift cars are already modified, and they are not exactly same from the factory. Some have a bucket seat, some have a factory seat, some have like really bad conditions, seatbelt doesn't work or doesn't even have a seatbelt, stuff like that. And cage, all those things are thrown out of the way. Like if we take a passenger over here in New Zealand, you need to have bucket seats, you need to have a cage, you need to have all the safety things, harnesses like that. But over there, because there's nobody enforcing that, it's your responsibility. So it sort of like feels like a lot of freedom. Because in the last few years, the popularity of drifting at Ebisu has grown hugely, and so many people are going to Japan drift themselves, and especially at Ebisu Circuit. While as the drifters numbers are growing, there's associates of the risks are growing as well. And from the first time that I start drifting in Japan, could be 6-7 years ago, there wasn't much rules, and I just have a basic S14, pretty much standardized. I do have a bucket seat and the harnesses. I don't have a cage. I felt pretty safe, compared to a factory seatbelt. However, there has been many people are like trying the limits of themselves in the cars and over there, and there has been many of crashes at Ebisu Circuit. And I'm sure that you guys have already seen so many crazy videos over there. And even Daigo Saito, every time he go to Matsuri, he pretty much crashed his car, he flipped his car, and all those things, like it's a lot of risk to your own, life, your body, and your like your family and everything. You because you want to go on there on a fun trip, right? You want to enjoy that trip. So sometimes you may not get hurt, but you wouldn't enjoy that much if you flick your car. And if you got it and you come back next time, you have to resell your car, you have to buy a new car, all that hassle as well, you got to think about. So over the past, I would say probably a couple of years, there has been a lot of missile cars, and that's what people say, like these cars missing all the panels in the back of the car, all squashed in, crashed on the walls, everywhere at Ebisu. So it put a really bad image on, what drifting is and what drift cars look like, and people coming in, especially at the Ebisu, there's it's also a zoo and also a safari park. Is when these people have nothing to do with drifting and come into Ebisu Circuit and look at these crazy cars, and they don't even look like a car, to be honest. They're missing most of their panels. So that's number one. And number two, when you're missing out a lot of these panels, and when you crash again, or if you crashed before, and even though you pull it out, and when you crash again, the metal is really soft and it's really easy to crumble and really easy to do more damage to your chassis, and hence you have to absorb more of that impact of crash that yourself and your body have to take that. And in the case that if you really crash real hard and you're flip, and because the car is not perfect, and you could potentially get injured quite badly. So the new rule was implemented a couple of years back, and I think it's definitely a great push on safety at Ebisu, and that's that you have to run all the panels on your car, and you got to make your car presentable. It's all not crashed, the whole back is gone, because from safety point of view, it's not going to do you any benefit if the car is fully crashed and you still want to drift it. So that has kept on going for the last couple of years, and until end of last year, almost the end of last year, and there's another accident happened. So one of the guys flipped the car again. This is definitely a common sight throughout the whole year of drifting at Ebisu. I'm sure there are a few car flips. Really, unfortunately, this person has injured himself, and the injury is quite dramatic. I think something to do with the spine. I'm not too sure about the exact scenario, but however, the injury was quite bad, unfortunately, and he was transferred to a hospital, and the surgery was carried out. Luckily, he was very successful through the good healthcare in Japan, or the hospitals, the surgeries, and the doctors are real good, and he received the surgery like perfectly good for the injury he was getting. So while he was recovering, however, because the foreigners over there, you have to pay for the surgeries and operation, and all that costs a lot of money. And I think he doesn't have a travel insurance, which result that he has to pay the lump sum, which is a huge number. And they refused to release him. That he have to pay the bill, of course. So however, people did come through online and donate and help him to get out of the hospital. So that's one very bad experience, I have to say, for him. And definitely it could be a lot of worse, and it could be better. A lot of people crash over there. You just never can predict when you crash especially when you flip a car in a track like Ebisu in the mountains, what could potentially happen and what injury you could have, So this new rules, PowerVehicle and Ebisu are enforcing from 2019 is a little bit added X safety, I would say, and I'm totally behind it. And the safer that you are and you feel in your car, and that's gonna make you confident, drifting yourself. And if you do have accident, at least they can protect you to a certain degree compared to the current rules. So the new rules at Ebisu is with your drift cars. So same with the previous rules, you want to make sure your car is presentable, not fully crushed in, and so you have that chrome zone safety layer as the first. Number two is you need to have a roll cage. So roll cage is pretty much all the bars that goes to front of your car and go to back towers, and you have the main hoop supporting the roof, where when you actually flip, the roof is super thin. It's just like a single layer of metal. You might have some bracings around the pillars and go to the front, yes, but depends how you crash. It can really damage the roof and really crush your head space, and that potentially will result in injure your neck, your spine, or whatever. That could be really dangerous. So by having a roll cage, I think it's quite standard in every country. If you do some sort of drifting, and maybe not just the Sunday open test events, but like for us, if you take a passenger, you do need to have a roll cage. So I think having a roll cage is going to eliminate some of the risk. And apart from that, you need to have a bucket seat and have a harnesses. So this also is very important. So because if you have a roll cage and then you have a factory seat, which you can still fly around quite a bit, and you have a normal seat belt, it definitely can do some work to hold you in place. But however, because the crash that you potentially could have in Ebisu Circuit is quite violent, so I'm not sure if just cross the shoulder lap seatbelt it can do a lot. But in the general motorsport, you guys probably already know of even just a normal 4-point harnesses we run in the drift car can really hold you in place in the seats. And by having a bucket seat, you can have your harnesses mounted properly, and because your sitting position can be fixed in a bucket seat and your harness is really holding yourself in your seat, throughout it, if you unfortunately do have a crash or do have a rollover, so your body should be strapped in, very nicely and tight with your confined space in the car. So, and your roll cage is going to protect the roll and stopping your roof getting crushed, and you still have enough space. So overall, these are very common sense safeties, and I think it's very important that Ebisu now is enforcing these rules. So if you already have a car with PowerVehicle, or you're planning to buy a car from PowerVehicle, you should send them a quick message and to check with the rules if your car, your potentially future car, is going to comply with these rules. And if you don't, and they do have these roll cages, and they're even making these harness bars with clamp on the roll cage, and you can belt your harnesses in properly. So all these things they will provide you, and they can install it for you, and make sure your car is safe before you actually go to Japan, and save your time, actually wait there and get it done. So anyway, I think this new rule is going to push drifting at Ebisu a lot safer. It's going to be more fun because you have all these safeties. You can feel confident in the car with your safety gears and everything. And the last tip is, I see a lot of people when they have their harnesses belt in, they're actually quite loose. Like when you have loose and when you have a crash, you potentially could damage, your body more by just, having them loose. But, just make sure they are tight. After a couple of laps, just recheck them, make sure they are tight. They're gonna hold you in place well, and they're gonna stop you, actually moving a lot, prevent you from the injuries. So this is the brand new rules of 2019 that PowerVehicle and Ebisu are enforcing and drifting at Ebisu Circuit. And once again, I'm totally behind this. If you guys have any questions, comment below over here, and also send a message to PowerVehicle if you guys already have a car over there. So if you guys are new to my channel, you guys know what to do. come on, subscribe our channel, show your support, share our videos and like it, and do whatever you like with it, and we upload daily. So hope you guys enjoying this another video of how to drift in Japan video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.